Hello, everyone. This is Gail Estella, and welcome to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Here's where we turn pain into purpose, because survival isn't a whisper, it's a roar. And before we get started, there's a couple of things I need for you to do for me. The first thing is, would you please go in and like, share, and subscribe to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast? Secondly, where are you tuning in from? I'm here in Aiken, South Carolina. Where are you tuning in from? Are you following me on all of my social media platforms? If not, please go in and do so at Gail Estella. And lastly, Through It All by Gail Estella. Have you purchased your copy of Through It All by Gail Estella? If you haven't, it's not too late. You can go to truevinepublishingcompany.org, Amazon.com, or anywhere books are sold. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I am a 33-year survivor from domestic violence. And not only am I a survivor, I'm a conqueror. And I thank God for it every day. The young man that we're going to be that I'll be interviewing tonight, he's going to share his story on how he was bruised but not broken. Mr. Aston Moss. Ashton,
hello, everybody.
How are you doing, sweetie?
I'm good. How about you?
I am doing well. Before we get started, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Aston Moss, aka the Hair Homicide. I am a master cosmetologist. I have been in the beauty industry for over 15 years now. I started doing hair at about 14, 15 years old. And it's just something I've always loved. I've always known I wanted to be a hairstylist ever since I was a kid. I just love making people feel good about themselves and the creativity that comes in the industry. And above all else, not only do we touch people's hair, but we touch their heart. So I love that part about it. I've been blessed to be in a lot of competitions, hair shows, hair battles. I just love what I do.
Thank you. And you're good. And you're good at what you do. As a matter of fact, that's how I met you. We were at the Impulse Summit, and you were highlighting your work that night. And I must say, you are really good. So the Hair Homicide, you deserve that title because you are really, really good. And that's coming from a veteran of over 40 years. And I saw how meticulous your work was and how much effort you put into your color placements. Everything just looked so good. But there was something else that I noticed. I noticed the music that you were playing that night. And all of the music was about domestic abuse. And as I continued to listen, I thought to myself, who does this young man know that has experienced domestic abuse? And I talked to you about that afterwards. And you told me it was you.
Yes, ma'am.
So would you like to tell us or tell the audience what type of abuse that you experienced?
Yeah, so the abuse that I have recently experienced is actually mental and emotional abuse. I was in a relationship with someone for maybe about a year and a half to 2 years. And it took a big toll on me, mental wise. When I met him, it was back in 2023. I was just actually getting ready to compete in the Bronner Brothers hair show. I was in the hair battle royale in New Orleans. And that alone was a very stressful time. I was dealing with getting ready for the show, not knowing if I was going to have, the funds to complete this. And it was just a lot. And I was also dealing with the loss of a dear friend in the industry. So it was so much going on. And, you meet this person and, I thought he was a breath of fresh air, He was so encouraging in the beginning. When we first met, it was like I didn't want him. We didn't want to leave each other's sight. We fell in love instantly. He was the first guy that really, I didn't have to ask for anything like dates. He did it. Communication, he did it. Like everything. And what was once a sweet dream just turned into a nightmare.
So that's a good gateway into your relationship, because you said this person came in and he was like a breath of fresh air. He was a communicator. Most men are communicators. He paid for the dates. He did all the things that you felt a man should do, or a person in a relationship would do for you.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the good in him.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did the good begin to shift to not so good? How long do you feel the relationship was good, that you could say it was good? How long did that last?
Maybe about the first 2-3 months.
Mm-hmm. So it didn't take long.
It didn't take long. It did.
It did not take a little longer than that, but oh boy, I guess he just couldn't hide it anymore. So what were some of the first signs? Because you said something about not ignoring the signs. So what were some of the first signs that you feel that you may have ignored?
So one thing I had to take an accountability about is me. I had to realize, like, my gift. I am a natural healer. I'm a natural healer when it comes to people in my chair. When it comes to people I encounter, they feel like just by talking to me and acting with me, they just feel better. And I feel like I can fix everything. I'm a fixer. I feel like I can fix everything. So one thing I realized in every aspect of my life, it's not your job to fix everybody, Ashton. It's not your job. And, I met him at a very broken part of his life. He had just dealt with loss. He had dealt with the loss of a parent. He was going through a divorce, all those things. And, I tell people, in those times, listen to what people are saying. When anybody can go through hurt and be loved through it, they just have to want to. And sometimes when a person says, I don't want a relationship, it's not just they're saying they don't want a relationship. They don't want a relationship with you. Because a man knows what he wants. He can be at a broken state in his life. He can be at any day. But he knows if you're the one, he knows, and he's going to do everything in his power to correct whatever he needs to correct so he can be with you. I can tend to be a prideful, independent person. And it's like I get it done myself. I don't need nobody. I can get it done myself. And I have to stop that. But it's like when people have let you down, and people have failed you, it's like, I don't want to depend on anyone. I may be stressed. I may be overwhelmed, but I do not want to depend on anybody because I know I won't let me down. But
so basically I'm hearing what you're saying is that you don't know who you can trust or how you can trust because you've been hurt or let down before. So what did some of those hurts look like for you?
It came from a lot of different directions. It came from family. It came from, lost friendships along the way. Lost relationships again. God will keep on sending the same type of person in different forms until you learn what lessons you're supposed to learn. So in all those scenarios, you can't let it change who you are as a person. You can't let it change your heart. And I'm not going to say it necessarily changed my heart, but it put a wall up. It made me put a wall up because it's like I'm starting to realize how precious my heart is. And you cannot let everyone in your heart. But at the same time, you can't block everyone out because you can miss out on so much and so many opportunities, so many valuable connections, by just shutting people out.
Mm-hmm. You can't.
So it's all in a balance. You have to just, keep the serenity prayer close to your heart when we go through things. And, we can easily say what the other person did, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what did you do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like it's like a self evaluation, and it's not necessarily saying in like a victim blaming type of way, because some people will victim blame, but it's not saying it in a victim blaming kind of way. Even if it's just you saying, you know what, I enabled this person to treat me this way because of where I was at in life
At that time.
at that time, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those words alone will release so much. Those words will release so much because now it's like, okay, this is not about the person. This is about you. And at the end of the day, forgiveness alone
Mm-hmm.
is not for the other person. It's for yourself.
And that's power. That's regaining your power. When I was walking out of my domestic abusive relationship, I can remember talking to someone and she said, so what part did you play? And I'm like, what do you mean, what part did I play? She said, what part did you play? Even if it was just the fact that you stayed and you allowed it to happen. We all have a part. And so what you just said is power. If we look at our parts, I think it could prompt women or men to walk away easier and not blame the other person. Just look at me. Let me change me. And if I change me, if I acknowledge me, then I can make an action to do something differently.
And I think it's scary sometimes. Like,
It is.
those actualizations are scary because being so
Mm-hmm.
tied to a person or being
Mm-hmm.
trauma bonded with a person, that's a
Mm-hmm.
real thing. And
Codependency.
codependency, it's a thing, all those things. And sometimes we either ignore the signs, or some people, they accept, they like, this is gonna be my life. I'd
Mm-hmm.
rather settle for 90% misery to be 10% happy.
90% misery, 10% happy. So you said within 2 to 3 months, the person that you were in the relationship with was it, began to show the signs. Did it come out full bloom, or, was it explosive, or was it gradual for you?
A narcissist is never like a full on. No, no, no. It came in spurts. It came in,
Yes.
at first it was, if I didn't, if we had a disagreement, it was always he had to be right. And if it didn't go his way, he would try to, in a sense, sad to say, like, punish me. Like, let me not answer his call. Let me ignore his call. Let me, he had a lot of, guy friends, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, they do that to make you jealous. It was just little stuff. It would be like 1 minute, it'd be like, he want a future with me. I'm planning a future with you. And then the next minute, well, you're not my boyfriend, right? Or, this is a long while I would never be with you. And then go back right around and say, oh, I love you. Or, I see this for us in the future. I see that in the future. It was like making false promises. Like, it was from so many different ends. And it left me jaded. It left me confused. I didn't know where to go. Sometimes it would be his actions, even around like my friends or something like that. Like, sometimes he would just like have this just attitude where he just be quiet and standoffish, and just like, it was a lot. And it caused me so much anxiety because even around my loved ones, around my friends, it was like I was trying to like make excuses for him. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
be honest. I made a
Yeah.
lot of excuses for him.
Mm-hmm.
I made a lot of excuses for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't want them to not like him.
And that makes sense.
So when you're going through with somebody, you don't want to necessarily let outside parties in because they're, if they ride for you, they're gonna be looking at the other person sideways, even when y'all back on good terms.
Right.
So I went through so much, and I kept it from them, and it caused a lot of like resistance and turmoil. It made my anxiety so bad. Like I'm still getting my anxiety back from it.
I looked up something. I'm going to say IPV, which is intimate partner violence, has been described as the third most severe health problem among gay men after AIDS and substance abuse. Gay men experience rates higher than heterosexual women. 26% have experienced physical violence, stalking, or rape. So domestic violence is prevalent in the gay community as well, especially amongst men. So for what about the person that may say, okay, you're a man, he was a man. How does the same sex allow another person in the same sex to abuse them?
I think because, it goes back to Christianity or whatever religious beliefs. And, the homosexual community, what they don't realize is love is love. Whether you're a man, whether it's two men, whether it's two women, whether it's a man and a woman, no matter what love is love. It's two people, that are in love with each other. So naturally, just like it can happen in a heterosexual relationship, it can happen in a homosexual relationship. Naturally, you have people that prey on emotions. Mm-hmm. You have people that, do the same thing. I mean, even in the dating pool, talking to my clients in the salon, even about the dating pool, about relationships, we realize how much we have in common. Because a lot of women, they also exude a masculine energy about this. A feminine energy and masculine energy, both of them are energies. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about women, especially African American women, you guys are go-getters.
Yeah.
You guys are go-getters. You guys are, y'all make sure y'all work for the best because you want the best. And so naturally, because you guys are so used to being independent, doing on your own. So a lot of times, when you do meet someone and you do give them that part of you, and you do let go, a lot of men prey on that because, their goal is to try to break you down, and kind of remove that masculine energy. But a lot of times they don't bring that to the table, because one thing I can understand, even from a woman's end, she will submit to a man if she is led properly.
Yes.
And that's anybody, anybody will submit to anybody if they are led properly, and as for me as a man, dating other men, I don't feel like it's no gender roles. I feel like it's very equal. Okay. I feel like we both protect each other. We both provide for each other. We both make each other feel special. We both, we both pour into each other. We both speak life into each other. It's from both ends. I want my person to match me, and we enhance each other. It's no happy one person happy. No, it's happy spouse, happy house.
Yes.
So that's how I look at it.
And I like that. And it makes a lot of sense. I like that. And I like what you said, people pray. Because we can have all these good things going on. We can have all these accolades. And we can be confident on the outside. But then on the inside, we're still dealing with low self-esteem. We're still dealing with self-worth. And I think people can pick up on that. Because when I saw you working and I saw you in your element, I consider that as a confident young man that knows what it is that he's doing. And I saw the passion. But then you say there's another side of Ashton that allowed the emotional abuse. because you were a fixer, you were a pleaser. And I would say we all want to be loved. So some of us go to larger extents to be loved. What do
It's
you
the
think?
American dream.
Mm-hmm.
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's, the pursuit of happiness doesn't look one way. We all want our white picket fence. We all want our family. We all want our, our legacy. One thing that sticks out to me is I've had two uncles pass away that was significant to me. And one thing about these uncles that stood out to me was they had no wife, they had no children. And with that, I've seen, when you have to depend on someone in your last days and your sick days, both of them, they passed from cancer. When you have to depend on someone in your last days to take care of you, you see how people are treated. And moments like that, it makes me realize, and even they've told me before they pass, create a legacy, create a family, create kids, create whatever that looks like for you. If you want kids, create, people don't understand how important that is, to have, because when someone asks me my biggest fear, right? One of my biggest fears is not being able to live up to my full potential, leaving this earth and not living up to my full potential, getting in my own way. And the other fear of mine is leaving this world alone, because you can have all the success in the world, but if you don't have anybody to share it with, what's it all for? So that's one of my biggest fears. But in that, I will not settle for subpar either. As I'm growing older, that's one thing, I understand why people say I'm sad in my ways as they get older, because it's like, yeah, I want somebody by my side. I want, I want my better half, but at the same time, I'm not going to settle for a subpar love, and not to sound cocky, but I know, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but I know I'm a good man.
You're a good man. How old are you, Ashton?
I am 33 years old.
33.
33.
There's a lot of wisdom in what you just said. And I would imagine a lot of that comes from the traumas that you've experienced as well. So you've learned and you're growing from them. You're learning and you're growing from them. And that's a blessing. Was this emotional relationship the only domestic violence relationship or domestic abusive relationship that you've ever endured?
Yes, ma'am. Because when it came to physical, like I just think my exes knew not to put their hands on me. Okay. I'm calm. I'm calmer now. But when I was younger, I used to be a bit of a hothead. So, so I think they knew not to put their hands on me. But I would rather, honestly, if someone were to ask me, like if we were in the Matrix and somebody said red pill or blue pill, which one would you choose? People might think I'm crazy, but I would choose a physical over emotional, because emotional and psychological, it replays back in your head. Physical, just like if you think about when we were in school, we fought somebody, it was done. When we were coming up, we fought somebody, it was done. We probably was friends afterward. Mm-hmm. But emotional, if you go back to your childhood, it's certain things that have stuck to you that people have said to you. And one thing that also has stood out to me, people can forget what you said, they can forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Mm-hmm. So how that person makes you feel, it sinks it sinks deep, and that's the hardest one to get over.
I remember, let me scoot over. I'm not in the middle right now. I remember sticks and stones might hurt. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt. And those were the things we said as a kid. And I like what you said, because once you mature and someone that you love begins to badger and beat you down mentally with a physical hit or physical scar, a scab is going to come on, it's going to heal. But what do you do with those words? What do you do with those demeaning words, the demeaning phrases, all the things they said to put you down? Where is that supposed to go? How do you heal that?
So I've dealt with this since I was a kid. I was bullied as a child.
Okay.
I was bullied. Hurtful things were said. And one thing I realized from childhood to adulthood, whether it be relationship, whether it be people in general, I already have 3 strikes against me. I'm gay.
Tell us the 3 strikes.
I'm black, and I'm a man.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So repeat the first one again, because I don't know if the audience heard it.
I'm gay, okay. I'm black, and I'm male.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So those 3 strikes already, you have to learn to be resilient very young, and you have to use those words as fuel. That's one thing I would go back and tell my younger self. Those words that you once cried about, that you once heard about, use them as fuel. You have to speak over yourself, and understand it ain't what people call you, it's what you answer to.
It's not what you call to, it's what you answer to. So how hard was it for you as a kid? And I don't know the correct terminology, but I don't know if it's coming out, or just how hard was it for you to just accept who you were and to walk into your truth? So
it was rough for me. I would say now, when I was younger, or when I lived with my mom, I love my mom to death. I always give her flowers. My mom had my back. She always, was like, I love you regardless, be yourself. But when I was growing up, my mom told me, when you're growing up, just focus on one thing. Focus on being a child. My son, like, don't rush to grow up. Mm-hmm. You have all the time to grow up. Don't rush to grow up. And I tell people, I didn't date like that when I was younger. I wasn't out there like that when I was younger. I wasn't, because, I always thought about what my mom said to me, like, you have time. And so, there was a time where I went to go live with my grandma when my mom got very sick. And, that was when I first kind of felt the other end of it, and not for my grandmother. I love my grandmother too. My grandmother, she raised me also just like a mother figure. I love my granny. But just some of the things I experienced down there from some family, from my peers, from all that, the bullying, it was very daunting at a young age. And then also, I come from a very heavily Christian background. So, you're in church, you hear these things, you hear you're going to hell, you hear you're an abomination, it's a lot. And, as a kid, I don't understand these feelings. I've never known, I didn't identify as necessarily gay as a young child. I just knew, hey, I knew I didn't have an attraction to girls. I knew I had an attraction to boys, but at the same time, you beat yourself up because you hear everywhere, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. And then you hear the kids, they pick on you. They say demeaning words, all that good stuff. You try to be strong, but it hurts. And then you go to some loved ones and you tell them, and it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't act that way. If you didn't act that way, they wouldn't, say this. If you didn't, So then you just get to the point where you fight, you defend yourself, but then it's like, okay, you deal with people jumping you, you deal with X, Y, and Z. So it's like you can't win for losing. And also, once I got older, like in high school, I witnessed people get put out, because of their sexuality by their parents. I've seen
Yes.
people get disowned by their loved ones, and so in that moment, I always told myself, I will not come out until I have my own. I have my own place. I have my own career going for myself, and and it was funny how it happened because, like, one day, like, my mom just came home and my boyfriend was over there. And that was just kind of like my coming out. It wasn't really because at that point I didn't care.
Yeah, right.
But growing up, it was very hard. I had to really learn. I think one thing a lot of people don't understand about Black gay men is, growing up, we have to be a version of ourselves to protect ourselves. We don't mature, at that young age. We're a version of whatever protects ourselves, whatever protects that little Black boy. That's what we are. A lot of us don't really find ourselves till adulthood. There are a few of us that are blessed to, find ourselves young, but most of us, we don't find ourselves until we reach adulthood. So that was, the balance of everything.
You said a lot. And it was so educating what you said, because we don't know what Black men have to carry. Then we don't know what gay Black men have to carry. And there's so many disparities that comes just with being a Black man. And then, like you said, that comes with being a gay Black man. And how pretty much I'm hearing you saying you have to be a chameleon until it's time to know until the time comes that you can walk into your true color. You have to be all these different colors until you know the time that you can walk into your true color.
Right.
Is that exhausting?
It's very exhausting. It's very exhausting, but you know what? I feel like God put me in this situation, and it's necessary for me to help someone else. To help someone else. You name it, I've been through it, young. I've been through rape. I've been through all that good stuff. And it just made me stronger as a person. And it's put me in positions where I can always help someone. Even the women that sit in my chair every day, every person, they have a distinctive story. And, sometimes I'm meant to talk to somebody, and they're the only one in my chair. In that moment, it's just us in here. And in those moments, I help them. And some of them, they help me. They teach me about life. They give me wisdom. They, all that good stuff. A lot of people don't know, but the beauty industry, it's a ministry.
It's a ministry.
We don't stand behind the pulpit. We don't preach to people, but it's a ministry.
It's a ministry.
We have to take over every day.
I interviewed Timbo Mack, and he considers his chair his pulpit, and he said some of the same things that you're saying, and I've experienced it myself. People come to us. People trust us with their vulnerabilities. They trust us with their insecurities. And we are able to pour back into them. So when you're pouring and you're giving, how are you being replenished?
Full disclosure, I wasn't. I was fixing people from a broken place in my life. I'm the type of person, my whole world can be falling apart. Everything around me can be falling apart. And I'm still going to encourage people. I'm still going to root for them. I'm still going to rejoice with them. I'm still going to be happy for them. And one thing, I understand people walk differently, but one thing I can't for the life of me understand is how, people, even when they're going through, they put people down. They they show jealousy, they show hate, they show envy. And it's never been a bone in my body. Like, I feel like my day is coming. If I just sit here and rejoice with this person, my day is gonna come. If even though right now it's my life is falling apart, this person's life is falling apart too. Let me help them, because guess what? My day was bad, but their day is worse than mine. Their day showed me that what I'm going through is not as bad as what they're going through. And guess what? Even if what I'm going through is worse than what they're going through, I'm still going to encourage them, because they need it too.
That's beautiful. And that's so intuitive of you to be such a young person. That's a blessing. That is truly, truly a blessing. So what I'm hearing, we can be bruised, we can be broken, but we can still pour.
And it's in your heart. What's that phrase? It's not on me, it's in me. It's in your heart. It's something that's not taught. It's the special people in this world. Like, we can't help but have a big heart. We can't help but have a big heart for people. It's just a thing that's in me. But one thing I'm learning again as I'm getting older is to use discernment with that. As much as I pour into people, I have to pour into me. You can't keep pouring to people from an empty cup, because people are supposed to benefit from your overflow. And I feel like, Ashton, if you are at this point in your life and you are helping people, if you fully pour into yourself, if you fully speak over yourself, if you fully tap into you like you tap into other people, imagine the magnitude of people you can
how big you could be. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Imagine.
Yes.
So it's like I'm not even in my final form, and I'm still able to help people. So imagine if you really, I tell people, I know what it's like every day. I know what it's like to sometimes not want to get out of bed. I know what it's like to sometimes cry yourself to sleep. I know what it's like to sometimes feel hopeless or like your dreams are too big. I know what it's like. I come from a hometown with 3 red lights. 3. So I know what it's like. But understand, in those small towns, the biggest voices come from those small places. Like, one thing I tell people every day, you just got to get up and you got to keep fighting. In those moments when I was laying in bed and I didn't want to get up, and I did, the moment I just got in my head to get up, my whole day changed.
Your whole day changed. Yes. Just move.
Just move.
Mm-hmm. And I heard someone say something. He said, always ask yourself, is this decision going to benefit me, or if it's going to hinder me? So getting out of the bed will benefit you.
Asset of liability.
Yes. And I must say, there are some times that we may need to stay in the bed for the rest, but we can't allow the bed to be our resting place.
A lot of times in my home, like, I would stay in my room a lot, right? I would stay in my room. I found comfort in my room. I just love being in my room. But one time I heard a pastor say, the same 4 walls that bring you comfort can be a prison.
That's true.
The same 4 walls, in my room, I would just lay down. I would, if I wasn't watching TV, I would be on my phone, scrolling on social media, all that good stuff. And I think now, I'm making myself get up more. I'm making myself tap into my creative space more. No, Ashton, don't be on that TV. Turn that TV off. Stop scrolling on Facebook as much. Limit your time. Tap into your creativity. Tap into other spaces that you need to get straightened out in your life. Tap into those places. And when you tap into those places, you're not as stuck. in that space.
Okay. How long were you in the relationship?
I would say about year and a half, close to 2.
Year and a half, close to 2. What prompted you to walk away?
It was one day our birthdays are like 4 days apart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we at that moment I was planning to go up there. He had planned a trip for his birthday. And I was going to go up there and I was going to take him his birthday present and take him out to dinner before he left for his birthday. And, we had, in that moment, I had been feeling something off. And we weren't really communicating. We was kind of in a bad space. And so he called me one day and I was at work. And he was like, we can't continue how we are. We can't continue this. And I just remember feeling like my world was crashing down. Like
Mm-hmm.
I like it was like somebody knocked the breath out of me. And I remember just talking and going off and it was just like something told me, just say okay. Just say okay. And I just said okay. And I gave myself a talk at that moment. I was like, Ashton, no matter how much this hurts, you have to go through the process and you have to heal. You have to accept that he can never be the man that you need him to be. So him letting you go was the best thing that could have ever happened to you. And you have to accept it, because if I had begged and pleaded and X, Y, Z, eventually even to this day, like if I wanted to, I could still communicate with him. We probably could still be back together, but I don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it. Love is not supposed to hurt. Love is not supposed to make you question it. Love is not supposed to make you wonder, is today gonna be the day where they get tired and walk away? The moment someone treats you like a rag doll, you gotta let it go. And I'm not saying people can't change. People can change, but the chances of them changing for the person that they abuse are highly unlikely.
Very unlikely.
Now they can move on to somebody else
To be a totally different person.
and be a totally different person, but they're always going to see you as the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you allow that person to come back, you are saying it's okay. It's okay to treat me like this.
Yes.
It's okay to treat me like this. I'm willingly allowing you to treat me like this again.
Yes. Did you ever turn to any vices as far as alcohol, drugs, food, or to numb the pain, to mask the pain?
So I never really necessarily turned to any vices. It just was a silent. I think a lot of people just didn't know behind closed doors.
Behind closed doors.
How depressed I really was. Like I hide it very, very well.
So that was masking it as well.
It was masking it, because it was like, a lot of time that is something that I battle, and at first it was like something to be ashamed, because I'm just gonna put it out there, as Black people make us feel ashamed for it. You know what I'm saying? And people make us feel ashamed for being down, for being depressed. And it's like, oh, just go pray about it. Or they'll talk about you. They'll use it against you, all that. So I don't really talk about it, with a lot of the people, even my loved ones. I don't talk about it with a lot of them. I have my trusted few that I talk about, it with them, and I know it's a safe space, but I don't talk about. I'd rather, go to a therapist and talk about it and kind of get the coping mechanisms that I need,
Mm-hmm.
to get through it. And also just, do that self-work with myself,
Self-work.
learning to journal, learning to, I think a great book of mine, that I it's prompted me to learn how to journal is the Mental Health Journal for Black Men.
Okay. Say that again.
The Mental Health Journal for Black Men.
Okay. Okay.
And this gave me, it prompts you, it gives you prompts to journal. So like after a while, it's just easy for you to journal, even if it's just a day. Journal how you feel throughout the day. Even if I know something recently that I said I was going to start doing, just posting little affirmation cards and writing
Yes.
around my
Yes.
house.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Even if it's in my bathroom room. I remember one thing I used to do when I was in college. I used to put my dreams above my bed.
Mm-hmm.
So they were the first thing I saw in the morning when I woke up,
And the last thing at night.
and the last thing at night. So with my affirmations, I'm getting back to wanting to do that with them too. I want them to be the first thing. When I get up and I brush my teeth and I wash my face, I want that to be my reason. I want that to be my why. Like to get up every day. So those are things that I've been learning to implement.
And that's good because a lot of times we have to speak into ourselves. And I like that you said that you went to therapy because a lot of times as a culture, we deem therapy unnecessary or we deem therapy as taboo, and especially Black men. So for you to say that you've gone to therapy and that you're journaling and the tools that you're implementing the tools, because you said one of your biggest fears is that, you said that one of your biggest fears is that you won't live up to your full potential. So you're doing all the things to help you to live up to your full potential. But actually, one more question before we leave. You just celebrated a birthday, so happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
And you said that you didn't know if you would make it. Have you made it?
I have made it. I think the biggest blessing in going through anything I went through is still being here. Like I'm still here. I'm finding me again. I'm finding my creative space again. I'm finding me as a person again. I laugh more now. I'm starting to laugh more. I'm starting to get back to the goofy person I used to be. Like I'm starting to feel like myself again. It's been a road, it's been a journey, but I tell people, recovery is a marathon. It's not 100-meter dash. You don't just run from being broken to being healed. No, it's a marathon. It's a marathon. You just have to stay in the race. And as long as you stay in the race, you're going to be exactly where you need to be.
Yeah. You will. Excuse me for moving and shifting because I'm not in the center. But I like that. Because we want to look at life like it's a quick fix, but it's not a quick fix because you said bruised, but not broken. We get some bruises, but they don't have to break us. It's not a quick fix. You have to stay in the race.
Have to stay in the race.
So what would you tell a person that's in an abusive relationship? And I'm going to ask you this. Are you proud of yourself today?
I am very proud of me today. I am very proud. I'm very proud that I actually spoke. To know me is to know I'm a very shy person. A lot of people don't get that about me, but I'm a shy person. So for me to actually, speak, and to just be transparent.
Mm-hmm. It's important. Because so many people are struggling. And you said it best that you don't tell people, but if we don't tell people, we can't get help. And we're struggling. Right. And people need to know that every day is not going to be a good day, that people do experience circumstances in life, but it doesn't mean that you can't get through it or you won't get through it.
Right.
Yeah. Are you proud of you? So when you look at Ashton now, and the Ashton 2 years ago.
Mhm.
What's the differences that you see?
The differences that I see when I look at the Ashton from 2 years ago and now is he's growing. He's growing. He's coming out of his cocoon. He's shedding to become a beautiful butterfly. Like, the guy then, a lot was revealed to me then. A lot, it was shown about like the beauty industry. It was shown about life. It was shown about, where I'm going, all that good stuff. It showed about how I allow people to treat me, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And now I'm understanding, like, it's okay to speak up for myself. Um, you have to set the tone. You have to set boundaries with people. And that's with anybody, family, friends, anything like that. You have to set the boundaries for how people treat you. That's very important. And, a lot of times at first I didn't set the boundaries, which caused me to be a pressure cooker.
Mm-hmm.
So now I know how to
Mm-hmm.
set those boundaries because I don't want to be known as the person that explodes. I mean, of course, we're all the hero in somebody's story and the villain in somebody else's story. But I don't want to allow anybody to have that power to make me the villain in their story.
I like that.
And also, I've learned to just be intentional about everything I do in this lifetime. Be intentional. Be intentional about where I'm going, about everything. Be intentional and learn how to enjoy life. Stop, smell the flowers. I put so much into my career with competing and showcases and behind the chair and all that. So now it's like, now's the time to stop, smell the roses. Take time for you. Take time to hear yourself, all that good stuff. So
You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. Have you forgiven? Have you forgiven your ex-boyfriend, and have you forgiven yourself?
it's a journey.
Okay.
It's a journey.
Okay.
I've forgiven myself. And I'm still learning what that looks like for me.
Mm.
But as for him, I've actually forgiven him. He's not a bad person. He's just made some bad decisions.
Made some bad decisions.
I met him at a bad point in his life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I had to realize that, sometimes we have to view the situation from a different lens.
Yes.
So in that, I've learned to forgive him, but we have to understand forgiveness looks different for everybody. I forgive him in the sense of releasing him. I wish him love. I wish him abundance. I wish him happiness. I hope he finds his person, and I hope he can accept that love because he deserves it. He does. He deserves it. Sometimes I don't think he deserves it, but he deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope he finds it. And I hope, I find it. So now it's just realizing, what, in asking forgiving himself moving forward, what does that look like? So.
Mm-hmm. So all the things that you said that you want,
Mm-hmm.
the house, the white picket fence, someone to love you, someone to understand you, someone for you to love and understand them, your family. For Ashton to not leave here without his dreams being fulfilled and to not leave here alone, my prayer is that God grants you all of the things that your heart desires because you are truly, truly worthy of it and you are truly, truly deserving of it, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Is there anything else you want to say before we close?
I just want to say thank you for having me. Thank you for putting me on this platform to tell my story. It's a breath of fresh air. It is. It's a breath of fresh air. So I thank you for having me. And to anybody out there that's going through, just see the light at the end of the tunnel, and put you first. You can love somebody, but always remember you gotta love yourself first.
You have to love yourself first. I like that. This is the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Tell the audience 3 things that has helped you to survive.
God, first and foremost. God. If it was not for him, like, I don't know what I would do. My circle, my loved ones, they keep me going. And honestly, my clients are my reason. I don't think they know sometimes how much I love them and how much being behind this chair that they heal me just like I heal them. So definitely my clients.